One of the posts that we just had was from Ram Dass. If you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family, because they know how to push all of the buttons, all of the triggers, all of your defense systems that are dormant inside of your nervous system. So first off, we have a 3-day workshop coming up. It's 100% free. Starts on Sunday. I'll go over what I'm gonna cover in those 3 days. But first off, let's give some moments for people to hop on and tune in here. What's up, everyone? What's up, Ryan? Good to see you all. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm also going live on YouTube as well. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hi, Lineska. What a powerful class yesterday was. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Like always, I love to be able to kind of psychically tune into where everyone's coming at in the world. MA, Berlin, Germany. What's up? What's up, Avila? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the 3-day workshop. I'm going to cover what I'm going to be going over in that, and then I'm going to dive into co-regulation, because that is what we're all experiencing right now as we move into holiday season and we're spending a bunch of time with family. But so the 3-day workshop starts on Sunday. You can click the link in our bio to register. It's 100% free. I'm going to be teaching the whole time. It really, truly is our way of just getting this information out into the world. I truly believe that this is stuff that we should be taught from a young age, and it's stuff that everyone should know, but we're not taught it. So yeah, our mission is to get this out into the world. And so the first day, I'm going to be covering somatics, understanding stress, trauma, understanding what somatics is. Somatics is a lens. It is a lens to view your body, your being. It's an orientation. It is a way to understand how your mind and body is working and how they are affecting each other, because truly you cannot separate them. Your mind is affecting your body and your body is affecting your mind, and in our world we've compartmentalized them. I went to school when I was first going to college. I went to school I couldn't decide which route I wanted to go because I was fascinated with both the mind and the body. I was taking classes in psychology, and then I was also taking classes in physical therapy. And unfortunately, in our world, you have to go down separate routes, and there's not something that ties it in between and showcases, how are they affecting each other. So somatics is a lens and understanding, mostly for a practitioner, but also it's just incredibly important to understand this for yourself, because we are all humans. So I'll be covering all things in relation to understanding somatics, understanding the mind-body connection, understanding how much of our emotions play such a huge part in that, understanding that the nervous system is the connection in between. Day 2, I'll be going into all things breath work. Now, there are a million different types of breath work out there. Breath work is not a new thing. It is an ancient technology that can be used for lots of different things. In my course right now, we've been kind of going over what is the difference between a somatic breathwork practitioner versus a breath coach, someone that's working on breathing mechanics and performance, versus someone who's utilizing breath work as a transformational experience to help someone clear out a lot of the blockages in their nervous system, and so that they can become clear mentally and tune into their purpose and show up as the embodied version of themselves how they want to right now, right here and now, because that is what life is about, showing up as the best version of yourself right here, right now. And then the day 3, I'm going to put you through a full somatic breathwork journey. It's going to be powerful. If you've never experienced it, or if you've experienced it before, come join, because every session is different and you will get something different from it every time. Every time I do a session, every time I receive a session, I get something new, because it really depends on where you are at. It can be what I call preventative, especially since we are, going into holiday season, which I'm going to talk about co-regulation. But this idea of preventative wellness, to prevent, to vent in the session before you end up venting on all of the people around you, to keep your mind clear, to keep your vision clear. We got to keep the body clear, right? So that'll be the 3 days, to give you a little bit of an understanding. If you've done it before, feel free to tune in. There's always some of the information will be the same, some of it will be different, but you always get more from it. So yeah, message us if you have any questions. You can sign up in our bio. It's 100% free, and I'll be going live all 3 days. Let me know in the comments if you've done the 3-day journey with us before and what your experience was like. Would love to hear that. See a lot of practitioners on here. You're totally welcome to join as well. Would love to see you on there. Would love to hear your experience of it. So let's get into co-regulation. Co-regulation, now the definition of it, co-regulation is basically like how I interact, how my nervous system interacts with your nervous system. Basically like how we're vibing together. Like, is it a good vibe? Is it not a good vibe? That is sort of the modern slang terminology for that. Like, are we feeling each other? You feel me? Right now, if you're listening to this, you are co-regulating with me. I'll give you a little bit of a somatic experiment right now. If you're tuning into this, I, Stephen, am actually happening inside of your nervous system right now. I'm happening inside of your nervous system. You are hearing the projection of my voice. It's going through your ears. It's going straight to your brainstem, and it's affecting your nervous system. Same thing, if we're interacting with each other, you are happening in my nervous system. That means I'm feeling you and you're feeling me. And ideally, if we're in solid co-regulation, we're feeling each other. We understand each other. It's this term we call being seen and heard, right? Everyone wants to be seen and heard. But beyond that, we want to be felt by each other. And that is co-regulation. I'm happening inside of your nervous system. You're happening inside of mine. Now, when it comes to your family, there can be a lot of co-dysregulation happening. And especially in just like our everyday life, most people feel as if they can connect to each other via their stressors, via their trauma, via the shit that they've gone through, which is unfortunate because that is sort of co-dysregulation, right? Oh, did you see what happened on the news the other day? Oh yeah, it's terrible. Did you see what happened on the news yesterday? Oh yeah, that's terrible too, right? There's this aspect where a lot of people co-dysregulate to each other and they stay in that negative space, right? Because they want trauma bonding is a deeper form of that. Trauma bonding is like there's over time you've co-dysregulated together, and there's like it creates the bond, right? Which I can maybe go into trauma bonding a little bit more. That's like it has to do with a little bit more of your attachments. This is just how my autonomic nervous system is engaging with your autonomic nervous system. And maybe I'll put this in more of like a woo-woo term for you, or sort of a metaphysical understanding. So Your nervous system is the electrical system of your body. It's sending and receiving messages from your brain throughout your whole spinal column out to your hands and all of your limbs. It is the messaging system from your mind to your body. It's also known as the chakra system from an Eastern standpoint. It's the same thing. You have nerve bundles at all of those major chakra points, right? You have a nerve bundle in your third eye, right? It's your frontal lobe. You have a nerve bundle in your throat, your thyroid, your throat expression. You have a nerve bundle here, your thymus, your heart. You have a nerve bundle in your diaphragm, your solar plexus, your fire center. You have a nerve bundle in your genital region, right? You also have a nerve bundle in your root chakra, which is your perineum. All of those nerve bundles are just basically bundles of, you could say, electricity or energy within your system. And then that spreads out through your body. Have you ever seen the photo of like the human nervous system? It looks like a tree. It spreads out, but it goes beyond your body because it is electrical. You have an electrical bubble around you. Some people call this your aura or your electromagnetic field, right? And so when you are co-regulating with another person, it's my electrical bubble around me is interacting with your electrical bubble. And there's so much communication that's happening between that beyond our words, beyond what we're actually saying. We're communicating electrically first. You can always feel when someone's walking up behind you because they are entering your electrical bubble, and the more sensitivity you gain, the more you're able to feel those subtle nuances of communication, right? Your nervous system, the primary function of your nervous system, most people think it's to keep you safe. Yes, but it's to communicate. And it keeps you safe by communicating. It's picking up on all the subtleties that's going on in the space, right? It's scanning the room for threats. And so this is a good question, Erica. How do we not get overconsumed by the energy of others? I'm going to drop into that after we kind of establish this understanding of what's actually happening with co-regulation. So my nervous system interacting with your nervous system, it's either bringing us deeper into balance and deeper into connection, or it's taking us out. We are feeling like, ooh, there's not a vibe there. We're not understanding each other. Or perhaps, someone else's, electrical bubble is very powerful. Maybe it's in a negative or a positive sense. Maybe there's a lot of dysregulation going on in their system. And you perhaps are very sensitive. We could say this, the two sides of the spectrum is, you could say you're an empath. How many of you feel like you're an empath on here? And probably if you're tuning into somatic release, you probably are pretty empathic. You probably are very sensitive. You're probably picking up on everyone else's stuff around you. So that's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is like only being aware of self. And the shadow aspect of that, it could be considered like a narcissist, which we both have narcissistic tendencies and we have empathic tendencies. And somewhere on that scale between the two is where your kind of default state is. Some people are just only aware of themselves, and that's an issue. Some people are only aware of other people, and that's an issue as well. Both sides, you swing the pendulum too far on both sides, and you have issues, right? You're not in balance. So it's this balance between being aware of self and being aware of another. So say when you're with your family, for the holiday season, like making sure that you're doing whatever practices you need to do to bring all of your energy back into yourself. Make sure you have that central column, that staff of energy. That's what I teach, your spine, strong spine, right? That is a deeply rooted understanding of what you're like yourself. And if you want some practices on that, go check out our somatic awareness practice. What that is a self-inquiry process of really tuning into the different parts of yourself and seeing how they affect each other. How is my physical body affecting my emotions? What are the stories going on in my head? Not that you need to change those, but you need to be aware of them. Because you always need that to come back to, especially when you're with family, because they know how to poke all of your triggers where you get out of alignment and then you start becoming reactive, right? So part of this process is understanding what is self and what is other, and being able to tune into the actual data stream of energy between us. What's the quality of it? So you have empathic tendencies, maybe narcissist tendencies. Knowing where you're at on that spectrum is first. Like if you're an empath and you're taking on everyone else's energy, then maybe you need to bring your energy back to yourself more. You have to have boundaries. The biggest superpower for someone who's empathic, who's picking up on everybody else's stuff, which is a superpower, is boundaries. And those boundaries start by you having non-negotiable practices for yourself that keep you in your own energy, that help you know yourself. What are you feeling? What feels right to you? You have to know what feels right for you. The opposing side, narcissistic tendencies, which that word is so weaponized nowadays, but that actually can be a superpower as well. Knowing yourself so deeply beyond all of the other stuff that's going on in the world, being able to just tune into yourself, right? The greatest superpower for someone has narcissistic tendencies is learning how to feel other people, learning how to become more empathetic, right? Learning how to tune into other people's stuff. So first of all, figuring out where you're on that spectrum. And then, I would say 90% of the people on here probably have mostly empathic tendencies where you probably need more boundaries. So when you're with your family, making sure you are still doing your non-negotiable practices in the morning, tuning into yourself, whether it's breath work, whether it's just journaling, whether it's doing whatever you need to do, getting your workout in, like don't lose that for yourself, because that's a commitment to yourself, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey with this as well in a moment. But so let's circle back. So now you have an understanding of co-regulation, self and other, the connection in between, how that actually works, co-dysregulation versus co-regulation. It is very hard to say no to your family, right? But you have to say yes to yourself. You have to learn to say yes to yourself. One thing that I've learned through my journey is what feels good for you is usually helpful for other people. Being someone who's a practitioner, being someone who's working with a lot of other people, being somebody who has a deep desire to help other people. The shadow side of that is you help everyone else and you've depleted yourself. You say yes to everyone else means a lot of times you're probably saying no to yourself. You'll start to realize that what feels good for you is usually the most helpful thing for another person. For example, I'll bring up my mom. My mom struggles with anxiety, depression, addiction. I went through a significant amount of my life wanting to help her so much. And this has gone into my dating life. This pattern has gone into so many other, because it's replicable to other things as well too. But at points in my life, I'm like, I want to do everything I can to help you, to the point where I lost myself in that, to the point where I burnt myself out, to the point where I'm enabling somebody else. And then I get to the point where I burnt myself out, then I withdraw, then I bring all my energy back into myself, And then there's this wall that happens where I can't feel anybody else. And so that's the swinging back and forth of this pendulum, right? Ideally, we don't get stuck in one or the other, but we have a dynamic way of relating, a dynamic way of co-regulating with each other. And this is how we build relationships, right? Relationships are the number one thing that dictates the quality of your life, is who are you in relationships with. And with our parents and our family, we don't have a choice. We are in a relationship with them, right? It's not like it's a partner or friends that we get to choose. And that's why it can be the most triggering, because we don't have a choice. We have to learn how to co-regulate with them. And beyond understanding this, we learn co-regulation first as a child, and then we learn how to self-regulate. When you're a child, you do not know how to regulate yourself yet. You are completely empathic and picking up on all the things around you. All the things around you. You're attuning to your mom, you're attuning to your dad, and if they're dysregulated, guess what? You're going to be dysregulated as well. And so if you grew up in a house that was very dysregulating, chances are you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time co-regulating and regulating yourself anyways. Then eventually we learn how to self-regulate, right? I use this example of, say it's your first time getting on an airplane. You've never been on an airplane before. It's your first time. And you're on this airplane. You're like, holy shit, we're flying through the air. And the airplane starts to experience turbulence, and it starts to shake and rattle. And you're like, oh my God, are we going down? Well, you look around at everyone else, and everyone else is relaxed. Everyone else is calm. Everyone else is just like business as usual. Well, your nervous system will co-regulate to them. And, even though the plane is experiencing turbulence, well, no one else is freaking out. So I guess it's okay for me to just stay relaxed, right? I'm going to attune to them. That's an example of what happens when you are young. For me, I remember one time specifically when I actually injured myself. I was probably 7 years old. I was riding my bike and I ran into something and I slit my whole face open like this. And I remember this feeling of that I didn't want to go home. I literally had a massive gash that I needed stitches, and I didn't want to go home because I knew if I went home, my mom would freak out. She would lose her cookies, right? And so I didn't want to co-regulate with that. And so what happens, I go home, sure enough, she freaks out, which then freaks me out even more, right? That's when an emergency happens, co-regulation is so important, because the biggest thing you can do is remain calm, remain regulated. That way you're an anchor point for other people to regulate themselves when chaos is going on. So I'll give you an invitation. Beyond trying to help somebody, beyond trying to help your family, because I know a lot of you listening to this are probably in the health and wellness space, probably trying to better yourself, probably trying to heal, and you probably want your family to heal as well. How many of you have experienced that? I've struggled probably my whole life with this. Being on a healing journey with family that doesn't share the same values. And I've tried to force it on them. I'm like, Mom, you better take care of yourself because you're going to have issues later on. Dad, you better take care of yourself because you're going to have issues going on later, right? And we will lose ourselves in trying to help everyone else out. But if you work on yourself and you become that anchor point, and they will feel that, because everything that you are being is being communicated through co-regulation. And so all you got to do is work on yourself. Now there's going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges with that, because they're going to test you, they're going to trigger you, they're going to do all these things. But as you start to work on your nervous system, you develop more capacity to deal with it without it affecting you so deeply. And at that point, they will notice it. They're like, oh, I used to do this to you and it's not triggering you. It's not affecting you. Your nervous system is staying in a relaxed place. And by proxy, it will cause their nervous system to want to co-regulate to you. So I hope this has been helpful. The last words I'll say on this is just stay in your lane, focus on yourself, continue to do your practices, continue to stay committed to your own healing journey. I'll take some questions here in a moment, but I want to share something that has been a part of my own personal journey, and especially creating over 1,000 practitioners worldwide that are taking this modality into the world and helping so many people. The first thing I'll say with that is that being a practitioner is not a career. Being a practitioner, if you are in a helping profession, it's not a career. It's a lifestyle. It's a path. It's a choice. And so part of your own healing journey is your career. Working on yourself is your career. And it's easy to get caught up in that shadow archetype of the healer where you want to help everyone else, but you don't help yourself. Well, guess what? Everyone's going to be co-regulating to you and their nervous systems are going to be picking up on it and your energy won't lie. And so as I'm in the process of kind of creating more curriculum, strengthening the curriculum, and really deepening the curriculum, because my goal is to create the best possible practitioners out there in the world. That's my goal. And I'm asking myself, what makes someone a really good practitioner? What allows somebody to really help other people? And all signs of that, because a lot of it you can't measure. You can't measure you can do all the same applied skills. You can hold the same session. You can do all of the structure, right? But what makes someone really good? It's all of the subtle nuances, all of these meta skills that if you tuned in, I talked about those a couple lives ago. But, one of the skills that I've been really diving into is alignment. What does it mean to be in alignment with yourself as a practitioner or just a human? What does it mean to be fully aligned in yourself, living that out in the world? Well, then, okay, so I'm mapping out, what does alignment mean? Well, it means, first of all, you're in congruence with yourself, meaning that your thoughts and your words and your actions are all saying the same thing. That means you're in alignment. And a person that that is in alignment, well, they will feel really good to be around. Because if somebody's not in alignment, your nervous system will pick up on that and there will be discrepancies. And you'll be like, this person's off. There's something off within them. And it diminishes the amount of trust and safety that you feel around them. So what's one part of alignment is congruence, right? Your thoughts, words, and actions are all saying the same thing. Another thing is having healthy boundaries, just like I talked about, knowing what is self, what is other, not losing myself in the other, being able to come back to myself, knowing where my yes is and where my no is, right? And then the last one, what I have, boundaries, congruence, and the other one is presence. Like, am I able to be present with you? So I'm mapping this out. What is alignment? These three things, and there's obviously so many more, but what's the pathway to creating that? What's the pathway to becoming more aligned? What's the pathway to developing more congruence, to developing more presence, to developing more boundaries? Well, it all deals with your own healing. It all goes back to the pathway of that is working on yourself. Because when you focus on your own healing journey and when you focus on just becoming a better version of yourself, well, your boundaries will present itself. It will be there. You'll know what your no is and what your yes is. Well, when it comes to congruence and being in truth with yourself and thinking the same things as your word, as what you're saying, and your actions are doing the same thing, what brings someone into congruence? Well, it's going down your own healing journey. What allows someone to be more present in their life? Well, presence means that I've processed the past. I can't be fully present with you if I haven't processed the past. For example, like if I got in an argument with someone this morning, like say I got in an argument with, my partner or girlfriend, which I don't have right now. Let's just be honest about that. But say I got in an argument with them this morning, and then I'm trying to be present with you all right now. Well, a part of me is still going to be stuck there in the morning because I'm still thinking, like, how much energy is it taking me to think about what went on this morning? Because it's still replaying in my head, which is not allowing me to be present with you. So the more you've processed your past, the more of your energy gets reclaimed to the present moment, and you're not still stuck in the past, right? So by me saying these things, it's like, what are the pathway to these things? It is to work on yourself and go down your own healing journey. And so I'm sitting in that and I'm like, what have been the biggest things in my own healing journey? I had a question yesterday in the practitioner training from a woman who's like, I really want to like heal like my anger. I really want to become more present. Well, your own healing also doesn't operate on time. And we all operate on time. We want the quick fix. We want to get it now. Well, there's a relaxation that happens when you're like, oh shit, my healing journey is like, it's going to be till I die, because we're constantly accumulating more stuff and we're constantly having to process it. So it is a process. It's not a place to get to. It's a state of being that there's a relaxation that happens when you're like, oh shit, I'm in it for the long game. I'm in it for the long game. So I'm thinking about what are the things that have been huge for me in my own healing journey. And I came up with 3, because my mind works in frameworks. I came up with 3 pillars. And let me know if this resonates with you. And I appreciate you all staying on. First thing, I'm like, well, commitment is the number one thing. Like, are you committed to working on yourself? Are you committed? Like, there takes a level of commitment because it's hard. It's not easy, especially when it comes to like somatic breath work. It's work, y'all. Like, it's breath work. You're going like processing your shadows, working on yourself. It's work. So there needs to be a level of commitment there. When things get hard, like, are you still committed? And commitment is quite a journey. There's been so many things that I've been committed to in my life that have allowed me to get where I'm at, and there's so many commitments in my life that I've flailed on, for sure. The next thing is curiosity. You got to remain curious. Curiosity, the opposite of curiosity is constantly trying to fix yourself. Constantly being hard on yourself, putting more pressure on yourself because you're not where you want to be. You have to approach your own healing from a place of curiosity. The visual that comes up for me is like, I see this like little Steven inside of me that's walking around with a flashlight and just shining the light on different things and going into the shadows, being like, what's down there? Let's see what's down there. Oh, wow, there's a lot down there. This is going to take some time, right? And he's looking around and he's looking up at like all the strengths and all the things that I'm good at. Being like, wow, okay, we can shine more light on all the things I'm good at, because healing is not just going into your shadow, but it's also going into your strengths. It's also understanding how powerful you are. It's also like there's a level of responsibility that comes when you truly realize what you're good at and embodying that and going all in on that, right? So, he's looking around. He's like, okay, there's all this up here that you're really good at, and there's all this down here that you're not paying attention to. It takes a level of curiousness for yourself. And I see this with practitioners all the time. When you're working with another person, you have to maintain that level of curiosity, because the opposite of that is like, oh, there's something over there. Let's go all in on it. Let's fix it, right? Which will put more pressure on somebody, which will create the opposing force that you're actually saying that someone is broken. Curiosity doesn't operate on time. Curiosity is a state of being. That's a state of wonder. That's a state of ever evolving process, verb, that there will always be more there. And so developing a level of curiousness with yourself. The last one is grace. Grace is everything. You're going to mess up. You're going to not do it right. Grace is a level of ease for yourself. I see this so much within people going into a healing journey that want to become a better person, want to embody themselves on a deeper level, want to develop their relationships, want to show up as a powerful version of themselves. There can be a tremendous amount of pressure. That's the shadow side of personal development, is getting so hard on yourself for not being where you want to be. Breathe. Take the pressure off. Give yourself grace. This is a long game. We're in this human experience not to have everything perfect, right? Offer yourself grace. Those have been the biggest three things for me in my own healing journey. It's been commitment, staying committed to it, staying curious, exploring yourself, and offering yourself grace within that. And it's a balance between all of those things. So that's been my process. I hope that resonated with you. Thank you so much for joining this live. If you're just tuning in, I'm going to post this because I feel like there was a lot of good stuff in here. As always, 3-day workshop. It's completely free. It's our way to give back. I'll be teaching Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it's a lot, y'all. I got a lot going on right now, but I love hopping on those. So I'll stick on for a little bit longer and take a couple questions. If this resonated for you, let me know. If there was anything that I talked about that you want to hear more about, or anything that landed for you, would love to hear. Thank you all. So you can sign up. There's a link in our bio in Somatic, at Somatic Release. You can message us if you have any questions, but you can sign up. It's 100% free. We have our in-person training that's going on next week in Phoenix, which I think we're almost full. So if you're wanting to hop in last minute, I would do that soon. Yeah. Anything else? How can I support you? How can I be of service? I hope sharing. Do you all feel like it's beneficial when I share my process with things, or would you rather it be more just educational on talking about the specifics? I would love to hear. What's my morning routine like? So my morning routine, it changes, right? It's got to change. Let's see here. But the one thing that stays in my morning routine is every morning I at least do the daily somatic breathwork practice, and I spend it which can be 3 minutes, can be 2 minutes, or it can be 15 minutes. And I always try to sit in meditation, and I truly try to bring my energy back to myself. I set my own alignment for the day. That way, when you go out into the world, everyone, we live in a world where everyone wants your attention. It's so easy to get distracted. We live in predatory marketing times where people are mining your attention like oil. You're getting hit with ads. You got social media, all these things. Can you pull all of your attention back into yourself? My process in the morning is aligning my intention and my attention. What's my intention for the day? What's my internal tension that's my driving force? What is my why? Can I tune into that? Can I breathe into that? Can I reclaim all of my attention, because that's the greatest resource that you have, and it's the thing that will be taken from you if you don't have a steady hold on that. You really struck home with the familial struggles and wanting to support while also setting boundaries. It's very helpful, your experience. Recommendations on how to inquire into what others' expectations of me and what's my truest desire. There's another sort of communication exercise that you can do. This is definitely beneficial in a romantic partnership, but you can also do this with anybody in your life, and it's called desires, fears, and boundaries. Like, let's play a little game. You can ask them like, "Hey, I want to play a little communication game with you." First off, it's stating our desires. What are your desires right now? What are your fears? And what are your boundaries? Those are the things. Your desires are the things you're wanting. Your fears are the things that are keeping you back. And your boundaries are the structure that protects you to go into your desires without letting your fears coming over you. And so that's a powerful, and I don't know if your family's open to this, but I would absolutely do this with anybody that you're in business with, anybody that you're in a relationship with. You need to learn how to communicate your desires, fears, and boundaries. That is a powerful one. Let's see what else we got here. All right, y'all. Well, that was an awesome live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you sign up for the 3-day workshop. I would love to see you on there. We'll have plenty of time to connect. And thank you for being the absolute best community out there. I love you truly. Have a beautiful day. And make sure you continue to stay in your own practices as we move into this holiday season. So, from my heart to yours, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.